To you about a subject that is near and dear to my heart, and with everything going on in today's world, I wanted to talk about the racism issue that is very popular at this time, unfortunately. With that being said, I have first-handedly dealt with that situation myself. I am in an interracial relationship, marriage right now, and we have dealt with racism ourselves, and I've dealt with it even closer than most people. That being said, my husband comes from a racist family. They do not support the fact that he's married to a black woman and are just closed-minded. And yes, I did know that they were closed-minded before we met, but I also thought and hoped that they would come around. And the main reason for that is because I am not the first black woman he has dated. Hopefully I will be the last, but that's nor here nor there. Before me, he had 2 other relationships that were with black females, and I thought, with that being said, that they would be understanding that, hey, this is what he's choosing to be with, and they would respect that. But it hasn't always been that way, and I found that out, unfortunately, in unpressing matters in ways. 4 years ago, we were blessed to be pregnant with our first baby, and unfortunately that baby ended in a miscarriage. At that time I was devastated. Like any woman, that's a hard pill to swallow, especially when it's your first baby, or any baby, first, second, third, fourth. That is still a hard loss. With that came a lot of emotions, hardships, and crying. And at that time, like, I was close to his mom. She came over, she hugged me, she said she was sorry, she understood, she was excited about having a baby, because at that time it would be her first grandbaby. And with that being said, I was thrilled. Like, I was over the moon. We are finally having our first. This was my first, this was his first. We were gonna experience this whole family dynamic together as one, as a unit, as we should. And then a couple weeks later, I found out afterhand that his father actually said that he was thankful that we did not have that nigger baby. His words exactly. And how I found this out is because my mom had reached out to his mom, and they were talking about how I was upset and going through what I was going through, and how they could both help us as a couple cope with it. And his mom basically said, no matter how much Dustin, I'm sorry, no matter how much my husband loves him, my husband's name is Dustin, that baby, that child they will have, will never be accepted in our family. And my mom said, why? Like, you knew your son chose to date a black woman, and you should support him and love him, especially since that's your only child. And her response was, I do love him, but his dad will never agree with it. I will never accept it. And that's the main reason why I have never met his father. And we have been together going on 6 years. When my mom found that out, she immediately called me, and I immediately cried like any woman would, hearing those words that you were happy that I did not have this child, and it brought joy to you in some type of way that it was not gonna have your last name. Was devastating. That was a hard pill to swallow, and to this day it's still hard for me to think about he made those comments. And if I was ever to see him, I would really give him a piece of my mind, if you get my drift. After that comment was made and my mom told me, all I could do was cry. And then after crying, all I could do was pray. Pray that God would open his heart to see that just because your son chooses to be with a black woman does not mean that you should ever wish ill on somebody or an unborn child. And that took a long time, because I'm not a very, I believe in God, but I'm not heavy into the Lord like I should be. And I am just not, I'm not as deep as I should be, if I'm just being honest. I have my own beliefs. I do believe in God. But it took me a long time, because at first I was just angry about why would he do something to me like this, because I didn't deserve it. I was a good person. I tried my hardest on everything I did. I always gave it my all, and I honestly was open-minded to dating somebody that was not my race. Fell in love with somebody that's not my race, and that's not hard to do. You love with your heart. I've always been a person, I was taught to love with your heart. I don't necessarily see color. I see color when it comes to, baby, your shirt is not matching mine and we need to get that together. But as far as like, oh, could she be with the black guy, or could she be with the Puerto Rican guy, blah blah blah, Hispanic guy, Indian, I love deep. I love with my heart. That's it. I don't see color, and I never will see color, and I will raise my kids not to see color. You love who you love, you protect who you protect, and that is what it is. So that being said, after I found out that devastating information, all I could do was sit there and talk to my husband like, okay, this was said, what are we gonna do about it? And his response was, well, let me talk to them to see if this is what was said. And then he never really got a full answer, and I don't know if he didn't get an answer because he didn't want to face the fact that his family was closed-minded like that, or he just didn't want to cause chaos, which to me, you should have asked. But like I said, I can't control what he didn't ask at that time. I can only do what I felt was right. And in my eyes, I was just like, okay, well, that really shows to me that they're not willing to learn who I am. They're not willing to understand where I come from, and they really don't want nothing to do with me. And that was mainly his stepdad. His mom was kind of open-minded. We had a relationship, but then again, it's like, how do you really trust somebody that's married to somebody that is so close-minded? Like, I like her, I'll always respect her, but as far as like my children going over to her house, I really can't do that. And I wouldn't want to put her in a situation where she's like, oh well, they're my grandkids, so I have to protect them, which she should by all means. But that's, again, that's going between a marriage, and from that standpoint alone, I just don't choose to engage with her because I don't want to put her in a tough situation. And I respect her. Like, she has came around to the idea, understands the idea, talks to me, says she loves me, says she prays for me, but her husband is very close-minded. So that being said, I deal with her from a standpoint, like, I don't really know where you lie, and I don't really know what was to happen, and I don't know what was to happen behind closed doors in your own household, so I choose not to really partake in that. And that's just how I honestly feel about that subject. Now, when it comes to him and his background, yes, he's raised in a small town where he grew up, in the white stayed with the whites and the black stays with the blacks. And you would think back then he's probably like 45 years old, but my husband is 29 years old. So that should tell you that it's not that old, but it's also not that new. And I can't really do nothing about how he was raised. I could just try to understand, like, back then that's how he was raised and how he thought the world worked. But now getting out of that small town and understanding the world's a lot bigger, and that you come into contact with wonderful people, regardless if they're black, white, Hispanic, green, purple, there are wonderful people out there, and you should not judge them based off their skin tone. But like I said, he was raised where that's all they did is judge, and they claim they have black friends, which I'm sure they do, but they have black friends to a distance. Like, you associate yourself with, hey, that's my friend, he's Hispanic, and that's it. But when it comes to intertwining and having mixed kids in their family, that was a big no-no. They did not do that. They did not okay it. It was not talked about. When my husband goes over there, when he used to go over there to visit, anytime family members came over, it was, hey, do you have a girlfriend? It was yes. And it was, you did not show pictures, you did not talk about the fact that I was black. Like, that was quiet. You kept that quiet, even when it came to him and family outings, which I really had a problem with. Like, there was a time where they were like, oh, well, since this is your son, I will gift you this vehicle because this person no longer needs it. And at the time, we did need another vehicle, but it was coming from somebody that never wanted to know that I was black. And that I have a problem with. Like, a lot of people would have been like, don't worry about it. If it was a vehicle and they were giving it to you at a great deal, don't worry about the fact that the person who is selling you the vehicle did not agree with interracial relationships. And for me, I don't know, no matter how bad at that point we needed another vehicle, I cannot bring myself to step foot into a vehicle where somebody's just like, oh, they hate black people, or they hate the fact that they intermix with white people. That was a big no-no. My husband, on the other hand, said, well, babe, what they don't know doesn't hurt them. To me, I can't sit with that. Like, I would never sit there and put him in a situation where what he doesn't know doesn't hurt him. Even though it's benefiting him, I would never do that. Like, if it is what it is, I call it what it is. And it was straight up bullshit. Point and blank, period. I'm not gonna get in no vehicle where an old white woman does not agree with the nigger sitting in her seat. Even though I own the vehicle now, my name's on the vehicle, I would not purchase that motherfucking vehicle. And that's just point blank. Call me stupid, call me what you want, but I just can't sit right with that. And at the end of the day, after we talked about it, my husband understood and he agreed. So that being said, we never purchased that vehicle, and we never saw that woman. He never went to pick up the vehicle. He never had any more relationships with her, even though she was a family friend. And to me, that's really when I started to sit there and question, like, yes, you do not agree with it, but then you're trying to make my husband lie about who he is, lie about his other half. And if you're making him lie about me and we have kids, would you make him lie and say that he's not claiming his children? And that's when I was just like, I can't have no relationships with you, because you can lie about me, but like I said, if we were to have kids, those kids would be half black. And if he has to hide about what his kids are, what they look like, the fact that they have nappy hair, straight hair, puffy hair, or curls is a problem for me. I'm not lying about shit, and that's just point blank. I am African American woman. I date a white guy. I'm married to a white guy, and that's my life. Yes, he is country as all get up. He wears rebel flags. He has rebel flags. There's a rebel flag in my house right now. And that's who he is. And that's a part of his history, he says. But like I say, I don't judge him based off that. I am not the first relationship, so no, I'm not the guinea pig. I'm not the test dummy. I am forever. And the past relationships he's been in, they were with black women. And their relationship ended through whatever the ups and downs they may have, cheating, infidelity, whatever was happening between him and that significant other at that time. That's none of my business, but they were black women. And it wasn't a test like he was trying to do this to get cool points. I honestly think he fell in love. And to be honest, he fell in love with me way before I fell in love with him. And that's just because I've been through past relationships where I got deeply hurt. So I was kind of standoffish, and then I was really standoffish when I truly found out that his family was not open to the fact that I'm black. So that made it a little bit more difficult. But as far as his family, I have no relationships with them. And as far as my family has open arms with him. They do not see color. My family is very diverse. We have Hispanic people in my family, we have mixed people, we have white people, we have it all. We are a rainbow, and I appreciate that and love that and would not change anything about that. So that is what it is. But his family, I have no relationships with. And if you guys have any Q&As and want to know anything else, I'll be happy to tell you guys about that. As I said before, we will do a sit-down video together, and he'll get in more detail and tell you about the fact that what he was raised from, what town he was raised from, and all that. That's not my information to really dish out. He's open-minded to me telling you, but like I said, we will be happy to do a video together. Right now, I just wanted to come and talk to you one-on-one to let you understand how I feel. And the fact that it has hit home. Before even all this, I've been dealing with it for a lot, but nowadays you really see it, and it's coming out stronger. And unfortunately, we can't do something about it, but it's gonna take time. Like I said, I've been dealing with this for over 5 years. When people ask like, hey, do you have a great relationship with your in-laws, my answer is always no. And I try to stay away from that subject. They dig more and deeper, I dish it all out. Hey, his family does not approve of me because I'm an African American woman, and I can't do nothing about that. Can't change that. It is what it is. That's an unfortunate situation. Do I think they will ever come along? His mom has definitely been trying, but like I said, her husband is the one that is against it, and it's hard for me to say, hey, I can have a relationship with you, but you have to sneak around, or I just don't know. Like, I can't, I don't know, you two. Tell me what you guys think. Like, should I be open to having another relationship with somebody that's only on the fence? Like, I don't know. To me, if you're riding the fence, I don't really know where you stand, and that's dangerous. That's more dangerous than me knowing, hey, he just doesn't like me. I'd rather a person be straight up and be like, hey, I don't like you, I don't want nothing to do with you, than for them to be fake, because then you start to let your guard down. And when you let your guard down, stuff happens, unfortunately. So I don't know if I will ever be open to her actually like taking our kids anywhere, anything like that, because I'm on the fence, and I could pray about it and hopefully it changes, but I really don't know. But like I said, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, my name is Courtney Janai, and I hope you hit that subscribe button, and thank you for sitting down and chatting with your girl. Bye.